The biggest breath you can take is almost always working against you. I know that sounds wrong. Singers are told from day one to breathe deep, fill up, support. And there are moments where a large breath is genuinely necessary. A long classical phrase, a sustained line at the end of a bridge. But for the vast majority of contemporary singing, a big breath does not help. It creates pressure that the voice then has to fight. And that fight is what most singers experience as strain. This episode is about what strain actually is, where it comes from, and how to get rid of it. First, when to stop. Before I talk about fixing anything, I need to make a distinction. If you are experiencing pain while singing, real pain, not just fatigue or scratchiness, and it happens all the time regardless of what you are singing or how long you have been singing, I am not touching that. That needs a doctor, an ENT, ideally one who works with singers. Pain that is constant and non-specific is a medical question, not a technique question. What I am going to talk about is the other version. Your throat gets scratchy during certain passages, in a certain part of your range, or after you have been singing for a while. That is usually technique, and technique can be adjusted. The hyperfunction loop. The most common mechanical cause of vocal strain is hyperfunction, an overadduction of the vocal folds. The folds are pressing together harder than they need to, and it creates a vicious cycle. Here's how the loop works. The singer takes a large breath. That breath creates high subglottal pressure, the air pressure building up underneath the closed vocal folds. To hold against that pressure, the folds adduct harder. They press together more tightly. That produces a pressed, effortful sound. But now there's even more pressure to manage, so the folds squeeze harder still. The cycle feeds itself. If you have ever heard someone describe a voice as pressed, that is usually what is happening. Pressed phonation is a real and useful tonal color in certain genres. The difference between style and strain is whether you can turn it off. If pressed is a choice you can move in and out of, it is technique. If it is the only thing that you can do, it may be hyperfunction. One of the telltale signs of hyperfunction is trouble in the middle of the range. A lot of singers can manage their high notes and their low notes, but hit a wall somewhere in the middle. That wall is the hyperfunction locking up the passaggio region, where the voice needs the most flexibility to transition between fold configurations. Two paths out. Getting out of the hyperfunction loop comes down to reducing the pressure that drives it. There are two approaches, and they work together. Path 1. Smaller breaths. This is the most direct intervention. Less air in means less pressure to manage. Hooke's law applies here. The more you inflate an elastic structure, the greater the recoil force it pushes back with. A smaller breath means less recoil, less subglottal pressure, and less demand on the folds to hold against it. I know this goes against everything most singers have been taught. The advice to take a big breath and support is so universal that almost every singer I have ever worked with arrives already doing it. But for contemporary singing, where phrases are shorter and rarely demand the sustained airflow of classical repertoire, a big breath is often the source of the problem rather than the solution. All you really have to do is commit to trying it. The experience of it being easier usually sells itself. The other piece of pressure management is genuine breath support. Finding that expansion through the torso, the external intercostals, pectorals, and lats working together to control the rate at which air is released. Support is not about holding more air, it's about managing the air you have with more precision. Path 2. Sing softly. Strain is almost always related to trying to sing loudly, and singing loudly is just not necessary for most genres. Microphones will make you loud. The voice does not need to do that job. There is a direct relationship between subglottal air pressure and vocal intensity. Increasing pressure will increase volume as long as the folds can maintain closure. But maintaining that closure under high pressure is exactly the demand that creates strain. Lower the volume, and you lower the pressure. The folds do not have to fight as hard to stay closed, and the whole cycle starts to unwind. Why singing softly is harder than you think. Singing softly requires much finer control of air pressure. It is one of those places where the physical engagement through the external intercostals, pectorals, and lats increases significantly to do it well. Singing well ideally looks easy, but there is a ton of work happening under the surface. A few minutes of focused, quiet singing will be physically taxing in a way that belting for 10 minutes is not. Vocal function exercises are excellent here. All 4 exercises are performed as softly as possible. That is a part of the protocol, not a modification. The sustained E trains you to hold a single pitch as quietly and steadily as you can. The pentascale on O adds pitch accuracy across 5 notes at the same low intensity, which is different coordination challenge. The goal in both cases is finding the quietest sound that has not turned breathy. That boundary, soft but clear, is the coordination you are building. Recording yourself helps because the difference between soft and clear and soft and breathy is easier to hear on playback than in the moment. One note: breathy phonation during puberty is normal. Female singers in particular may experience it in their early 20s. This exercise still applies, but the baseline is different. One of our amazing collaborators, Timothy, once described singing softly with an image I've always liked. It should sound like you simply moved further away. Same voice, same quality, just quieter. The tone does not change character, it just gets smaller. Much easier said than done. Tension is not the enemy. There is another version of strain that lives outside the larynx entirely. Visible muscle tension in the neck or jaw. Bulging muscles in the neck, a chin that is locked and quivering. These are signs of tension where it does not belong. But here's the thing. Tension and singing go together. Without tension, you will not make any sound. The vocal folds have to close. The breath system has to pressurize. Muscles throughout the torso have to engage. Singing is never a question of removing all tension. It is about having tension where you want it and to the degree that is useful. This is one of the things I like most about really effective breath support. It moves the tension into the torso. When the body is properly engaged through the intercostals, lats, and pectorals, that engagement gives the tension a productive place to live. When the body is not engaged, that same tension almost always creeps upward into the neck and jaw. The tension does not appear from nowhere, it just has nowhere else to go. So the fix for neck and jaw tension is usually not relax your neck or drop your jaw. It is redirecting the engagement into the torso. My go-to prompt for getting this started is simple. Palms up, make fists, squeeze the pinky side of your fists into your ribs. It naturally engages the intercostals, lats, and pectorals. It is a crutch, and It will also engage muscles in the shoulders and arms that we do not want long term, which is why I like switching prompts regularly. We go deeper on this in Season 2, Episode 15, You Can't Actually Sing from the Diaphragm. Here's what actually works. High notes and strain. Straining on high notes is usually the same pressure story with one additional factor. The singer is trying to keep the vocal folds short and thick as they ascend, which means pushing significantly more air to drive folds that are not configured for that pitch. To sing higher, the vocal folds need to stretch and thin. The cricothyroid muscle elongates them, and the thinner configuration vibrates at a higher frequency with less effort. This is the body's default solution. It works. But the thinner sound is different from what the singer is used to hearing on their lower notes. It might feel light or unfamiliar, so they add weight. More thyroretinoid engagement, more air pressure, more effort. And now they are fighting the natural mechanics instead of working with them. The fix is the same as everywhere else in this episode. Less air, less force, and let the folds do what they are built to do. The sound will probably not be what you want when you first start letting the voice thin out on high notes, but it gets stronger with practice. The strain also disappears immediately. The one rule. If I could give every singer one rule for avoiding strain, it would be this: big breaths are not your friend. They are a necessity in rare moments in contemporary singing and more common in classical repertoire, but they always make singing harder, not easier. They create pressure. Pressure demands closure. Closure under pressure can lead to strain. Start smaller. Sing softer. Let the folds thin when they want to. Until next time, keep singing smart.